Hey everybody, welcome back to Black Magic Craft. How y'all doing? I'm doing quite all right myself. I'm about to go on a family vacation that should be hopefully really relaxing, but also inspiring. Gonna check out some interesting architecture where I'm headed. This week, I decided to just chill out doing one of my favorite hobby tasks, which is building a little fantasy house. But I used it as an opportunity to experiment with a couple things, mainly doing a thatched roof. This is something that I've always avoided because I've never really liked any of the options for doing it that I've seen, and they kind of seemed annoying to do, so I've always just done something different. However, before you can put a roof on something, you need a building. And I made this simple little house using a substrate of foam core from the dollar store. I want to take this opportunity to remind you that this is the kind of thing that you absolutely don't need foam core for. It's just something I have and is convenient. Cardboard is perfectly serviceable for this. I don't use a lot of templates or plans for building these sorts of things. But one trick that I use that I think is really handy is just making quick templates for things like the curve of a roof. If you want to get an interesting curve and have it be symmetrical on both sides, an easy way to do that is to use some construction paper or regular paper, actually it doesn't matter. Make it the size of the thing you're trying to cut out, fold it in half, and then cut your curve. Then you can just unfold it and you've got this perfectly symmetrical little jig to use to transfer the lines onto your material. It'll also help you to make multiple copies for, say, the front and back of the building that are exactly the same. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. The best techniques usually are. Now to decorate the thing and give it that nice visible timber look, I use some square stock balsa wood. And the trick to using this stuff is to carve the edges, break all those factory edges. You don't want them looking too sharp. You want them wavy. You want them to look like they were hewn in a medieval timber yard. And then you can glue them into place. One thing to consider though is that you don't want to put the beams flush to one side. That's not going to give you that little lip edge to hold in your stucco later, and it will make the other side protrude much more. So I like to glue it on overhanging one side, and this helps out with that just a little bit. And then to match that protrusion, I just split balsa wood in half to make thinner material. Of course, I could just use like coffee stir sticks or wooden stir sticks or whatever to do this thinner material, but it's very easy to split this stuff and it doesn't have to be perfect. And in fact, having it kind of imperfect is great and helpful. And sometimes I like putting the split side out because it's not smooth, it's not a factory cut. Every little bit of natural variance that you can easily obtain helps to make the building look more believable. I used some MDF windows on this because they're convenient, they look great, and my goal here wasn't to experiment with making windows. I just wanted to make a house. I do have videos in the past where I show you how you can make this sort of thing from scratch using toothpicks. If you like doing that kind of tedious work, you can. But MDF windows are a great cheat code for building tiny buildings. Another trick is how I did the door. I wanted a wooden door, so I just used some thin coffee stir sticks to make the planks, but I glued it to some paper. It's actually the same paper that I had left over from cutting my angle template on. It's great because it keeps everything in place and then you can cut it to size. It also stabilizes everything. You don't have to wait too long for glue to dry. Once you got your finished door, you can just glue it on and you'll never see that paper backing again. Once the door is framed out with timbers, you're basically ready to do the stucco. And there's a couple different ways you can do stucco. I've shown many of them. And on this one, I decided to go with the tile grout method. Before I show you how I did that though, let's take a second to look at this video's sponsor, Squarespace. If you need a website, try them out. There's a lot of reasons to build your website using Squarespace. It's easy to use. You can pick a pre-designed template to start with and quickly adjust it to meet your needs. You can use the built-in AI tools to help design your website, even if you're not sure what to do yourself. And you can easily create an integrated online store. If you sell products or services online, you can get a store up and running in just a few moments. You can process orders and payments using Squarespace payments, make invoices for clients, whatever you need for your hobby or business. I use Squarespace to sell original creations like my new Dungeon Door Guy miniature, which is available now, and my game Idols of Torment. I like the system so much that after using it for one of my websites, I decided to use it for all of them. If you want to see how effective and easy to use their website building tools are, go try them out for yourself for free. Use the URL squarespace.com/blackmagiccraft and start a free trial. And then once you're convinced and ready to launch it, use the code blackmagiccraft to save 10% on your first purchase of a website or domain. I think the nicest way to do stucco on miniature buildings is with sandless tile grout. It's easy to apply and it cures nice and hard. Sometimes it cracks, but that actually just helps to enhance the appearance. I basically just like smush it on in between all the timbers and smooth it out with a damp finger. But what helps it look a lot better is if you wait for it to start curing, when it starts to get hard, but not totally 100% cured, taking like a damp finger and just smoothing over all the high points. It's actually how you get a great stuccoed look, because that's how stucco is often done, is by making a rough bumpy surface and then smoothing it over and leaving a bunch of little pitting in place. Once the grout was cured, I decided to paint it out before doing the roof. This was partially because I thought, hey, that's probably a good idea because I don't want to get paint on the roof, but also because I didn't have the material to do it yet. So I figured I'd let the paint dry while I went out and found the material to do the thatching. And I just airbrushed this, very simple. I didn't even prime it. The raw wood color and the raw grout color were a perfectly fine base color to apply some inks to just tint it and make it look how I wanted. Both of those materials are pretty absorbent and the acrylic ink would stick to them just fine. Overall, pretty simple paint job, but it got me to where I needed to be to where I could start putting a roof on it. And I needed some sort of backing for that roof. Foam core or cardboard would be too thick. Even a heavy duty cardstock would be too dense and difficult to bend to that curve of the roof line. So I found this random piece of slightly heavier paper, kind of in between paper and chipboard. I don't know what it is or where it's from. I think it was just from some packing material and I thought, hey, I should save that. So I did. And it worked out great. I just hot glued it in place and that gave me the backing for my roof material. For the actual thatch, I went with teddy bear fur or fun fur, whatever you want to call it. I found some cheap stuff in the kids section of Michael's. It was a fairly appropriate color. It's not exactly the color that I wanted, but it was pretty good. And I essentially just cut it out to shape and glued it in place. Now, it doesn't look that great just as is, and is very messy. This stuff wants to shed and I mean, it looks like fur. So I figured a good way to deal with that would be to just like mix up some Mod Podge and water and paint it on. The idea here being that it would flatten everything out, make it stiff, stop stray fur fibers from going everywhere, and hopefully make it look a little bit more like thatch. And I think it kind of did. What I think helped the look the most was cutting a strip and placing it on top as sort of a cap and splitting the fur to go over both edges. And having this little hump of fur made it look a lot more like actual thatch roofing. Overall, I would say that this method is fine. I don't think I love it. I think if you want to quickly populate a tabletop full of thatch roof buildings, this is a very viable option. To make it look really great, it would require some extra work. I don't love the exposed edges of the backing material on this cheap fur. It actually would be better to at least put the backing material on before the grout so I could fill in any gaps and not be left with a weird, awkward joint or gap that, you know, I now need to fill if I want to make it look 100%. So overall, yeah, pretty good. Not amazing. I don't think it looks like incredible or anything, but for the cost and how easy it was to do, yeah, pretty decent. I still think I like miniature buildings with tiled or shingled roofs better. I don't know, they just look more impressive at scale. But this is perfectly fine, and I am happy that I made this. Next time I do it, it'll look a little bit better though. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found it informative and inspirational. If you want to help me keep making these videos, there's a couple great ways you can support me and the channel. One is by joining the channel on Patreon. Those funds go a long way to helping me keep the lights on and me keep doing this. You can also go to blackmagiccraft.ca and buy some of my official merch or some of my original builds that I put on there for sale. or you can check out and purchase my original tabletop game, Idols of Torment, on idolsoftorment.com. That's it. I got to get ready for my family holiday. Thanks for watching. I will see you again next time. Cheers.